WrestleMania 14, more widely known as the begin of the Attitude Era. One of the greatest WrestleManias of all time. They had a lot of their matches be matches that were pushed and booked for months. Some of these, some of these rivalries that occurred are, I mean, the Nation of Domination and Ken Shamrock, the Hardcore Legends and the New Age Outlaws, Stone Cold, HBK, Undertaker, Kane. All those matches had a significant impact on WrestleMania. There wasn't one match on that card that didn't have a meaning behind it or some sort of purpose. And and honestly, probably generally speaking, this is probably my favorite WrestleMania of all time. But so this is coming off of the first ever In Your House No Way Out, which was like a mini pay-per-view. At the time, No Way Out wasn't nearly as big as it is now. And basically, there was a lot of heat going into the main event with HBK and Stone Cold Steve Austin. So I'll just get into the matches, talk about the matches, and then I'll talk about the aftermath of what happened after WrestleMania 14 to kind of explain its significance and the true meaning that this pay-per-view had for the Monday Night Wars, ratings, and just building what becomes the prime of WWF, the Attitude Era. Bunches of talent comes in, so we'll get there. It starts out with like a battle royal of like pretty much the whole roster that's not involved in a match, and they go. It kind of shows the Legion of Doom 2000 come out, new outfits, wearing like these cool masks with Sunny coming out there doing her thing, and kind of foreshadowing that they were gonna be significantly in this match. They ended up throwing out the Midnight Express from the NWA at the end to get the W. And it was a good match. You always like seeing those battle royals. The Legion of Doom 2000 at the time looked really good. And honestly, you couldn't ask for much more from them. And it was cool because they were able to kind of reignite that rivalry with the New Age Outlaws. Because the winner of the battle royal became the number one contender. Or whatever. So the Legion of Doom, they had a rivalry with the New Age Outlaws. Jobbed to them, put them over, and were kind of gone for a while. So it was good to see them back, getting a rivalry, and it was a great way to open up WrestleMania. The second match was Taka Minchinoku against Aguila, who would later become Essa Rios in the around the 2000-2001. Essa Rios or Aguila, he was wearing a mask, looked fantastic. His spots were fantastic. He completely outshadowed Taka Minchinoku. And, at the time, Taka Minchinoku was the very first ever light heavyweight champion. This huge Japanese prospect that was going to be a very big piece to counter the cruiserweight divisions in WCW. And Aguila came out there and just worked him. And it made Taka look bad. And Taka doesn't really ever look that bad. But he didn't look that great. He got the win, though. Put on a decent performance. It wasn't a bad performance, but Aguila was just putting work out there. I really enjoyed seeing Aguila, Essa Rios, and, Essa Rios, man, an underrated cat, dude. I'll tell you that. So next we had Triple H against Owen Hart for the European Championship. These guys had a rivalry going on forever. Back in the Royal Rumble, and it kind of went on. Triple H won the European title from Owen Hart during a Raw by attacking his broken leg at the time. And Chyna was being very devious. She was helping Triple H out. So Sergeant Slaughter made a stipulation that she had to be handcuffed to Sergeant Slaughter. So the match begins. It's a very good match, a very good technical match. Owen Hart, very great in the ring. Triple H, you already know, great in the ring. You see everything happen. Submission, technical. You see the Arn Anderson type spine buster by Triple H, all his great moves, and it ends perfectly. Chyna did a very good job throwing the whatever in Sergeant Slaughter's eyes and giving Owen Hart the low blow, perfectly putting Triple H over, and getting the victory. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what happens with Triple H after this pay-per-view because it's significant for the D-Generation X, HBK, Triple H becoming a main event star. So we'll talk about that in a minute. So Triple H beat Owen Hart. The next match was Marc, Mero, and Sable taking on the Artist, formerly known as Goldust, and Luna. So it was a tag matchup. These guys were teammates at first. Luna became jealous. They started fighting a lot. And, Luna's a great wrestler, and Sable is too. So it really started a great rivalry that would go on through 1998 before Sable and Luna both leave the company. So it was great to get those two have a rivalry begin. Sable ended up winning, doing the power bomb to Luna or whatever, the Sable bomb I think it's called. Good match. Marc Mero with his boxing. Goldust is always great to watch. This was towards the end of his Artist, formerly known as Goldust gimmick. He became the Goldust again. Started wearing his outfit and stuff. So that was definitely good. Goldust does a great job with his personas and stuff. He's a great actor. But it's always good to see Goldust back in his original outfit. Shattered Dreams. All that good stuff. So the next match was The Rock and the Nation of Domination taking on, it was The Rock versus Ken Shamrock with the Nation of Domination, and this was a really good match, very significant for the future of the company because The Rock won the match. He won the match and then Ken Shamrock just destroyed him, mouth bloody, had him in the ankle lock. Rock did a great job putting him over. Ron Simmons, the leader of the Nation, comes down to help him. Says, F you. That's the beginning of the end of the Nation of Domination. Farouk gets kicked out the next week. Something like that. And it leads to a feud at Unforgiven the very next pay-per-view. So, overall it was great. The Rock putting over Shamrock. The Rock becoming very big after this and kind of making him the leader, what he really needed to do, because Ron Simmons, legend, you know what Ron Simmons is going to be, but you have to see what The Rock can do and if he can hold it on his own. At this time, The Rock was a heel, cutting great promos, funny. Dude, his promo before WrestleMania, sitting there pumping his chest, just smiling, just, acting like he's got the belt, and just hilarious, man. He was a great actor. So it was great to see The Rock go out there and do his thing, and he eventually becomes what he becomes, one of the best actors, one of the best wrestlers and ring performers. So it was a very great outcome. Let's see what we got here. Next we had the dumpster match, Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie taking on the New Age Outlaws. Watching this again, I forgot that Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie won this match. It was a good job of the New Age Outlaws to put him over, and I could have swore the Legion of Doom was coming back to take on the New Age Outlaws and get their revenge, which they later do, but it kind of put a swerve. You thought for sure that was going to be the match after WrestleMania, but Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie put on a good performance. They're always great performers. New Age Outlaws, great performers, and there's not much more you can say about it. It was an emotional moment. It was great to see Terry Funk get that win at WrestleMania. He deserves it, man. He's one of the hardest workers. Him and Cactus Jack, I got the utmost respect for because they put so much work into the business, so much heart, dedication. They started from the bottom, and they worked their way up. So, it's always great to see just somebody that has worked so hard actually achieve what they have all along. And, what better way to do it, as a team. I mean, really, it was great that the New Age Outlaws put them over because they didn't have to. Mankind at the time was not a huge draw. He was not great on the mic. He was okay on the mic. Mankind, he was good. Dude Love, he had his smooth moves. I wasn't a huge fan, but he definitely, they deserved that much. It was a good win. So, next we got Undertaker and Kane. Let me sit up because I got a lot to say about this match. My favorite feud of all time. My two favorite wrestlers of all time. Paul Bearer, my favorite manager of all time. This was a 6 month in the making match. And Undertaker and Kane were these two giant forces. You look at Kane now. Kane wasn't like that back then. Kane was a monster, and not a lot of people thought Undertaker, despite having his streak intact, they thought Kane was going to put him over at the time, or he was going to put Kane over. Um, this is my second favorite storyline with these two guys. I guess my first favorite kind of coincides with it. My favorite is when they're going into Unforgiven 1998 for the Inferno match where Kane, is getting revenge on Taker for the loss and digs up his parents' graves, and they have the graveyard fight, and Undertaker's doing all the mind games, putting the fake Kane on fire. Paul Bear saying, "Be dead like your mom." Like, it was just a crazy time. But that kind of coincides with this pay-per-view right here and what happened. So this was they really built this up. This match was pretty much the main event. It was the main event, except it wasn't the main event. And if Shawn Michaels had not gotten that injury from Undertaker at Royal Rumble '98, which put him out for pretty much 4 years, then Undertaker and Kane would have been the main event. But since this had so much significance, and since Stone Cold, the Attitude Era began with this pay-per-view, what can you do? But it was still very important. This pay-per-view is what put WCW pretty much out of business, in my opinion. It changed the ratings. Even Kevin Nash has said this pay-per-view was a huge determinant in the loss that WCW took in the ratings. But anyway, Undertaker and Kane had a great A match, great spots, jumping over the ring, tombstones, choke slams, doing the same moves, sitting up, acting so similar. Undertaker giving Kane 3 tombstones, Kane giving Undertaker, I think, 2 tombstones, and I believe they each gave each other a choke slam. But it was a good match. Undertaker won. Kane Kane attacked him, tombstoned him on a chair after the match. And this is really what began the 1998 great pay-per-views. Stone Cold, Undertaker, and Kane were huge parts of that for 3/4 of that entire entire year. It was Undertaker, Kane, Stone Cold in the main event. But good match. Undertaker got a huge win against probably the strongest looking character at the time. No one wanted to mess with Kane. Kane was a monster. So that takes us to the main event. HBK and Stone Cold Steve Austin with Triple H, Chyna, and the special outside enforcer, Mike Tyson. There's, Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels are both so great on the mic, and they're both so great in the ring that you knew this match was going to be grade A. You just wondered who came out on top. And you had a feeling that Stone Cold was probably going to take the W here, but it was just so hard to see because Shawn Michaels, whenever you think someone was going to go out and take Shawn Michaels' title, Big Van Vader from WCW, Bret Hart, The Undertaker, he wouldn't lose. He was a beast, and you really questioned how Stone Cold was going to go in there, stunner him, and beat both members of DX. So watching this, when you saw Triple H and Chyna get thrown out in the first couple minutes, you were like, wow, like Stone Cold's got a shot. Like he's going to, he can do it. And of course, he goes out there, great match, great spots, classic spots. Never was a huge fan of the ending just because of the way that it was executed. There's not really much more to say than that. Mike Tyson could have performed that a little bit better. I know he's not an actor, so I don't really blame him too much. It was a fast count. Stone Cold got the win. Mike Tyson knocks out Shawn Michaels with the counter punch, and the Austin era begins. Shawn Michaels is gone for a long time. Doesn't really wrestle again for another 4 years. Comes back later as the commissioner. it was, it ended up working out for the best. It really, with Shawn Michaels and how he was with politics, it really makes you wonder if he would have never got injured, exactly how much different the Attitude Era would have been. So, this was a good match. Afterwards, the Attitude Era begins, of course. Shawn Michaels comes out forever. 4 years, replaces Sergeant Slaughter in 98 as the commissioner. Stone Cold begins to, feud with Undertaker, Kane, all those guys. And then, other than that, before I forget, Undertaker and Kane go to the Inferno match. LOD and Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie begin to feud. But I think some important points to take away from this pay-per-view is, one, Triple H becomes the face of DX. The next day, the New Age Outlaws, X-Pac join the DX. It really helps boost his character. Same with The Rock. He becomes the leader of the Nation of Domination. He ends up fighting Farouk and some group at Unforgiven, which I'll get to in my next video. Another young person in the business getting that chance to step up to the next level. And we will see them both succeed later on, and their matches together when they face each other are classic, let me tell you that. So you have those two. Stone Cold now is a young cat, or, not young cat, but he's going to get the chance to put the company on his back, and it proves to be a huge success thanks to Vince McMahon, the genius. So, there's a lot of changes going on in the WWF. They're going to get a lot of new characters coming, and it's, it's really refreshing to see. Very fun time to watch wrestling, So, the next pay-per-view is going to be Unforgiven 1998, headlined by the Inferno match. Great storyline going on there. I really, think you guys should watch that through, especially if you're Undertaker and Kane fans. But other than that, guys, this was a great pay-per-view. This was ginormous in changing the rating war, the Monday Night War, that is, the Attitude Era beginning. It really brought so much together. It really helped build Undertaker and Kane's character, The Rock, Triple H, Ken Shamrock going over. If you want to see some old wrestlers that deserve it to go over, Terry Funk and Mankind, so overall it was a good pay-per-view. I definitely recommend you to watch it. Definitely worth all 2 hours and a half. So check it out. Next pay-per-view that I'm going to go over is Unforgiven 1998. Give me a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.